Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that touches millions of lives but is so often misunderstood: bipolar disorder. We're going to walk through the science, the symptoms, and the stories to build a really clear picture of what this condition is all about. Just imagine for a second, what if your moods weren't just feelings? What if they were these powerful forces that could completely take over your energy, your thoughts, and even your perception of reality? Well, for millions of people, that's the day-to-day experience of living with bipolar disorder. Okay, so here's the official definition from the National Institute of Mental Health. And right away, you can see this isn't about being moody. We're talking about clear, distinct shifts in a person's entire being, swinging from incredible highs, which we call manic episodes, to crushing lows, known as depressive episodes. And it's way more common than you might think. Check out this number, 4.4%. That means an estimated 4.4% of adults in the US will experience bipolar disorder at some point. That's millions and millions of people navigating these intense shifts, which makes this a conversation that's important for all of us to have. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the basics, then dive into the spectrum of moods that define the condition. We'll look at the causes, and then get into the really crucial stuff: diagnosis, treatment, and what it takes to manage and live well. And we'll wrap up by talking about where to find support and hope. First things first, and this is so important to get right off the bat. Bipolar disorder is a treatable, lifelong brain disorder. It is a medical condition rooted in biology, and it is absolutely not a character flaw or a personal weakness. So when does it usually start? Well, the median age for a full diagnosis is around 25, but the story often begins way earlier. You might see early signs in childhood, subtle things like sleep issues or anxiety. Then, in the teen years, it can often look like major depression. It's like a slow buildup as the brain matures into early adulthood. To really get what bipolar disorder is, you have to understand the mood episodes that define it. And believe me, these are so much more severe and long-lasting than what we'd call a typical mood swing. This slide does such a great job of showing the two extremes, the two poles of the disorder. On one side, you have mania. Think sky-high energy, feeling on top of the world, or even super irritable. You barely need to sleep, your thoughts are racing, and this is a big one, your judgment can go out the window, leading to some really risky behaviors. And then on the other side, it's the complete opposite. A depressive episode is this profound sadness, a total loss of interest in everything, feeling utterly drained and just crushed by feelings of worthlessness. And this quote, wow. It just gives you a raw, unfiltered window into what that depression feels like. It's not just sadness, it's a deep pain, a feeling of being disconnected from yourself. As this person says, it's like a part of me has died. But there's another state we need to talk about, and it's called hypomania. Think of it as a less intense version of mania. Someone might feel amazing, super productive, really creative, but it's not so extreme that it completely derails their life or requires hospitalization. Now, other people will definitely notice a change, but you can still function. Understanding hypomania is absolutely key because it's the defining feature of bipolar 2 disorder. And this chart breaks down the main types perfectly. For bipolar 1, the defining feature is having at least one full-blown manic episode. For bipolar 2, you have at least one hypomanic episode, that less severe high, and at least one major depressive episode. And I really want to stress this. Bipolar 2 is not just a milder version of bipolar 1. The depressive episodes can be incredibly severe and often last a lot longer. Then you have cyclothymic disorder, which is more of a chronic, 2-year-plus pattern of ups and downs that aren't quite severe enough to be full episodes. And just to add another layer of complexity, someone can experience mixed features. Can you imagine feeling totally wired, energized, and unable to sleep? All signs of mania? But at the exact same time, you're filled with absolute despair and hopelessness? It's a collision of both poles happening at once, and it's an incredibly distressing and dangerous place to be. So the big question is, what causes all this? Well, like a lot of mental health conditions, there's no single simple answer. It's more like a perfect storm of different factors coming together. Genetics is a huge piece of the puzzle. If you have a close family member with the condition, your risk goes up by about 10 times. Then there's biology. We can actually see differences in the brain structure and chemistry of people with bipolar disorder. But genes aren't the whole story. Environment plays a massive role. Things like major stress, trauma, or substance misuse can act as a trigger, especially for someone who's already genetically vulnerable. All right, so this brings us to the most important part. What can we do about it, How is it diagnosed? And what does treatment look like? Because here's the good news. While it's a serious condition, it is very treatable, and people can and do lead full, productive lives. Getting a diagnosis isn't as simple as a blood test. It's a really careful process. First, a doctor's going to do a full physical to rule out anything else that could be causing the symptoms, like a thyroid issue. After that, it's all about tracking symptoms and history. A mental health professional will do a deep dive, looking at the patterns of your moods, how long they last, how severe they are, to see if it all lines up with the diagnostic criteria. Now, this is a crucial point to understand. There is no cure for bipolar disorder. It's a chronic condition, kind of like diabetes or heart disease. So the goal of treatment isn't to make it disappear forever, but to manage it effectively, keep moods stable, and prevent future episodes. And the foundation of that management, the first and most essential pillar of treatment, is medication. This is really the cornerstone for achieving mood stability. The primary medications you'll see are mood stabilizers, like lithium. Sometimes antipsychotics are added to help get a handle on severe symptoms. And antidepressants, well, they're used very, very carefully, and almost always with a mood stabilizer, because on their own, they can actually trigger a manic episode. But medication alone is usually not enough. The second pillar is psychotherapy, or talk therapy. This is where you learn the skills and get the support you need to manage the day-to-day realities of the illness. There are a few different types that are really effective. You've got CBT, which helps with negative thought patterns, and then there's one called interpersonal and social rhythm therapy, which is fascinating. It focuses on keeping your daily routines, especially sleep, rock solid and consistent. This is a game changer because we know that messing with your body's internal clock can be a major trigger for mood episodes. And that brings us to the third pillar, which is all about empowering the individual. This is about the lifestyle choices and self-management strategies that you can use alongside professional treatment. So, what does all this look like in the real world? Well, living well with bipolar disorder goes way beyond just doctor's appointments. It's about actively building a life that promotes stability. And these strategies are absolutely vital. Learning your personal warning signs can help you stop an episode before it gets out of control. Maintaining a stable sleep schedule, I can't say it enough, it's one of the most powerful things you can do. And of course, avoiding drugs and alcohol is non-negotiable, as they can completely throw your mood off balance and interfere with your meds. I love this quote. I am not bipolar, but I do have bipolar disorder. It's such a powerful distinction. It puts the person first. The diagnosis is something you have, it's not who you are. And nobody, absolutely nobody, should have to navigate this journey alone. Finding a solid support system is it's essential for recovery and long-term wellness. Groups like NAMI or the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance are amazing resources. They offer education, support groups with people who just get it, and so much more. They're a real lifeline for so many people. And a quick word for all the family and friends out there. Your support is everything, but it can also be exhausting. So please, learn about the disorder, but also remember to take care of yourself. You need support too. You really can't pour from an empty cup. We have to be direct about this. The risk of suicide is significantly higher for people with bipolar disorder. This statistic isn't meant to scare, but to highlight just how serious this illness is and why getting help and sticking with treatment is literally a matter of life and death. So the most important takeaway is that help is always, always there. If you or someone you know is in crisis, in the US, you can call or text 988. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24/7. Please, use it. It can save a life. And for those times when it's not an immediate crisis, but you just need information, resources, or someone to talk to, the NAMI helpline is another fantastic place to turn for both individuals and their families. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. How can we, all of us, help build a world that's more understanding and supportive? It starts with conversations just like this one. By choosing empathy over stigma and facts over myths, we can make a real difference and create communities where people feel safe to get the help they need.